All right, live again for another day, building the AI application to win the Nvidia AI Agents Developer Contest. So, recap what I'm doing. I am building an AI application using AI agents that will revolutionize the personal training industry by helping personal trainers create customized and powerful workouts for their clients. And I'm doing this to win this competition right here, hosted by Nvidia and LangChain. And the reason why I'm streaming these sessions as I build this application, even though I probably won't get really any views at all, which I don't care because I don't really make content at this point. I want to learn how to. So I want to develop the soft skills of streaming and making content, along with developing all the hard skills that I am right now with software development and AI. So that's what I got going on. So at this point, I already have the backend completed for my application using LangGraph and LangChain to develop or to generate these workouts with using NVIDIA NIMs with the Llama 3 70B instruct model. And so now my job is to make the front end, to actually make it so that I can use this graph that I've created with LangGraph to allow personal trainers to actually access the user interface to use my AI to generate their workouts for their clients for each week. So that's what I got going on. In the last stream that I had yesterday, I showed a template that I have downloaded from Vercel for creating front-end applications, chatbots with React and Next.js using the Vercel AI SDK. And I spent a lot of time exploring the AI SDK from Vercel. It's super, super, super powerful. But it was a little confusing for me yesterday because I had to get used to how it all works. And then I also had to think strategically how I would integrate LangChain with it. So there are some tools that allow you to integrate LangChain into the AI Vercel SDK. But I don't think it's actually quite what I'm looking for. The thing with the AI SDK from Vercel, it's so cool, so powerful. It's made mostly for chatbots in the sense that you have a user message and then you have an AI response that could either be just text or a React component to make something pretty with like a tool call, for example. So it could display like stock prices or something. And then you'd have a user message and then another response from the AI and then having that repeat. But what I'm doing is a little bit different because I have this whole graph executing in the back end, and my input is not simply just a single message from the user. It's actually this whole JSON of all the different criterias to feed into the graph. Like these are the work or the criteria for the client. This is the number of days. This is how long each workout should be. Here's the gym equipment that they have access to. All these different things are input, and then the output from the AI is just this big JSON blob because that's going to be the workout that I then put into some component where the personal trainer can select alternatives and provide feedback through the chat feature as well. And so I can't really just have that stream as output to the user. One really cool thing with the Vercel AI SDK, I can actually show this here. Let me pull up the demo. Yeah, so this demo right here is super cool. So yeah, this is their hosted demo that they have with the chatbot, and it's really cool because when I ask a question like, "What do you do for me?" you'll see that the response is actually streamed out in typewriter style, like you have in the Chat GPT UI, where it writes out the text over time. But I can't really do that because my output is a JSON. And so I need the entire JSON to then produce a component within the chat. It's going to look something like this. So it's going to be like some card where I display all the workouts and have like drop downs for you to select alternatives and stuff. So I can't really stream that as text. And so yesterday I was thinking way too hard about how to turn my LangGraph output into a text stream, but it can't really be that anyway. And I can kind of show you an example here with this, like even these outputs from the AI this example here, these cards are not streamed because obviously it's not really possible. Like you need the full text and then render that React component. So if I say like I want to buy a Bitcoin, um, okay, it's supposed to work. I'll say I want to buy Nvidia stock. This is just the example that they have out here. Okay, yeah, so you can see here that there's no streaming there. It has that little loading card, that skeleton, and then boom, it just shows up like this. as a it's I mean it's sick. It's really cool how you have like a component within the chat, but it's not like streaming anything, obviously. Like it doesn't like produce this graph over time as it's getting more output from the AI because it just gets like one piece of data from the AI's tool call because it figures out like I need to make a tool call here, and then it just spits that into a React component that it dumps here. So that is what I need to do. It's a little bit different than what I was thinking I was going to do yesterday. I was trying way too hard to use fancy features of the Vercel AI SDK that really aren't meant for my use case. And so I did a lot of research today, just figuring out the different options that are available to me with this SDK and doing a lot of critical thinking of like, what do I actually need? What do I want for this? And it's interesting because I want to use a chat interface like this for my application for my front end, but there really isn't going to be any like free form text from the AI. Basically, it'll just be workout components. Like I'll have a card like this, like I described earlier, where it'll have like all the workouts with drop downs to select alternatives and stuff, and then maybe a couple buttons at the bottom here where it's like provide feedback or this is good, continue, and generate the next workout for the week. And so it's just going to be like that React component over and over and over again. There's never going to be any text to stream out, especially not for my Lang graph application. Maybe at some point I could have like some accompanying thing where you could ask a separate AI questions about like why it would recommend certain workouts or things like that, and that could like allow you to give better feedback for it to generate the revision of the workout. But for what I want to do right now, I literally just want to have these workout components generated by the AI. And so your chat history is basically going to look like first workout, you like type up some feedback here, and then it generates the revision. You can select alternatives if you want to like do any little tweaking, and then you'd say, okay, next day. And so it would then generate the next day. So you'd have like a card for the first workout, the first day of the week, and then the user feedback, and then the card for the second day, and then the user feedback, and then the card for the third day. Like that's what your history would look like. And then eventually you would generate the workouts for every single day of the week. And so your chat history would have that back and forth, like the workout, the feedback, the workout, the feedback. And then at the very end, you would spit out another component. The AI would spit out another component, like some fancy looking card like this, that would have all of the workouts for the week. And then maybe you could still like select alternatives and stuff because my AI does actually generate alternatives along with the primary workouts and stretches and stuff that it recommends for each day. So that is my plan. Kind of spitting that all out there. I've been thinking about this for hours today, and I've literally done hours of research and learning about the AI Vercel SDK and learning about streaming and setting the AI state and all of that good stuff. So that's what I got going on. What I'm going to do right now, tonight, I'm not going to be able to like do a ton with the front end tonight. I'm going to stream for about an hour, something like that. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to just try to, in some way, get my Lang graph integrated into the front end. And so I'm not going to do anything pretty tonight. It's going to be pretty basic. But I want to get it so that I can type a message here, and that would actually kick off the execution of LangGraph. Or maybe there wouldn't even be a message. Maybe I'll just have like some button. Because at the start, before I would even type anything out, I would need to like basically tell the LangGraph like go and do something. Maybe like with a form that I would initially fill out where it'd be like, here's the requirements of the client, number of workouts in the week, how long each workout should be, all that good stuff, the access to equipment. Like there'd be a form, I'd fill all those things out, and then I'd click go. And so like that'd be a form in the center here, and then it would turn into the chat where you get that first workout, and then I can type the feedback down here. So I guess at first it wouldn't even be free form text because you just have to like provide those things in a form and click go. But I'm not even going to do that at first. Like literally, I want to start bare bones and just prove that I can get my graph integrated into the front end. And so I'm going to basically just hard code all those values that I typically have as input for the graph. And it's going to be similar to, yeah, like here's all the input for the graph, like the day, the phase, the workouts in the week, how long each workout is. I'm going to do something to start that is similar to what I did. Let me go to my VS Code again. That's similar to what I did for the client that I had in Python, where I just have all of the different inputs hard coded here, just so that I can have a proof of concept working. And so I want something like this Python client that I made, I want it in my front end in some way. So that is going to be my goal for today. Because if I can prove that out and like make sure that I can actually call LangGraph and have that hooked into my application, even in a really basic sense where a lot of things are hard coded, the rest of it is going to come a lot easier. Because at that point, I know I can call LangGraph and I know I can supply inputs by just changing the hard coded stuff for state that I manage through some form. And so my first step then would be to create the form where I set the state for all the different things like the numbers of workouts in the week and the client info, and like any extra criteria like limitations for the client. Like I can have all that be in the form, set that as state, bring that to my graph, and then at that point, I'd be so, so cool. And then the next step would obviously be to show that workout for that day, that first day, and then have it be like some React component where I could then edit the workouts. And so that'll come second. And then third would be getting those revisions and then having that iterative process within the UI here. So it should be simple overall if I break this down step by step. And that's what I'm going to try to do because it was kind of overwhelming at first when I was like, okay, I have my graph, and now like, holy cow, I have to think about how I want to integrate this into a front end. And there's a lot that comes with it. But yeah, I'm going to break it down quite simply here. So the first thing that I want to call out is that I'm not going to do any streaming, any fancy streaming stuff here, because this is just going to be get the output from the graph and then throw it into a React component because it spits out that entire JSON that I need to then create that list of workouts in a component. And so that's going to simplify a lot in my mind of what I got going on here. The other thing that I'm going to do is I think I'm going to copy something similar to this function. So let me go back to the demo here and see if I can actually show. Um, okay, great. I want to buy this stock. I'm going to actually show what this looks like. Yep. Okay, so this is the neat component that the Vercel demo has, where you say you want to buy an Nvidia stock or whatever, and you can actually like adjust these things. And so in my example, it'd be like selecting alternatives for a workout instead of like changing the number of shares that you want to buy. And then so what you'll do is you'll select the number of shares you want to buy, and then you click purchase, and then watch the state here. When I click purchase, it'll replace it with text showing that it's loading and making that purchase. And that's like really, really neat. And it's kind of dynamic where it's not streaming the output. Like it's not, it never kind of like has this come out in typewriter style where it types it out for you, but it's still updating the state over time as things are loading. And it's actually kind of all mocked. Like it's not actually, oh, that's the wrong code here. It's not actually doing any real work. It's just waiting a sleep for a second a couple of times. But I'm going to copy this function here because what you just saw happen is all done through this, where basically I create a streamable UI, as in like I create this UI, pass it back to the component that actually produces that card that we were seeing, and then it updates that over time. And that's kind of what I'm going to do. So when they click generate workout, it's going to have some little component that says that it's generating the workout, and it'll just have like some little spinner like this. And then it'll update with the workout, and then it'll update with the like basically the UI will like flash, and then there'll be like an option to change and select alternatives or something like that. So I'm gonna mimic this function instead of what I was thinking about doing before, where I was gonna try to get the Stream UI to work. Because after a lot of the research I had, I can't really get Stream UI to work with LangChain with the Vercel AI SDK, and I wouldn't really want to anyway because of what I was saying earlier, where my graph outputs JSON, so I need that entire thing to make the component. I can't just have it display the AI response over time as it's generating the chunks because it's not a chatbot. I was trying too hard to think of it as a chatbot because I'm kind of operating in a chat UI. But really, I'm operating in a chat UI because it'll be familiar and look good, not because it actually is a chatbot. It's a workout generator. It's a little bit different. Everything's going to be working in components instead of just raw text from the AI. Because the output's JSON. That can't be, that's not human readable anyway. So that is what I've got going on here. So basically within this function, that's where I would actually set up the lang graph. So I have to think about how to do that. The first thing that I'm going to do um, is within here, I think I'm going to add a second button that is going to trigger some custom function I have here that will call the graph. So it's going to look a little jank at first, but this is my foray into like actually making changes to this and getting a handle on making my custom changes. Because whenever you're operating in a code base that you're not familiar with, the hardest thing is just making that first change. Even if it's like not something that's going to be a part of the final product of all the changes you're going to make, like just getting that change in, making sure that you really understand how all the components connect, that is the most important thing. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to add a second button, and instead of send message, I'm going to call it generate workout. Super simple. And I guess I could have a different icon here. Icon. Ooh, I want to. Okay, I was hoping there was going to be a dumbbell. Um, that would be that'd be too nice. Let's see what kind of options I have here. Um, I mean, like I'm not actually going to use this for real. Um, like later on. But I'm just trying to make something that looks kind of neat. I'll just use the refresh icon. So generate workout, refresh icon, save it, and let's go back to my UI and let's see what it looks like now. All right, let me refresh. Should be a second button now. What is this? React children. All right, hold on. What is going on? Okay. Um, Tooltip trigger. This must have expected only one child. So let me just duplicate that. I think that's my problem here. All right. I don't really know what this tooltip is for, because where does it actually define what the tooltip says? Oh, this through tooltip content. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna change this and say generate a workout. Okay. So now we got the tooltip, which I guess I might as well have that, even though it doesn't really matter. Okay. So here we go. So this is send message, and then this is generate workout. And I guess it's disabled until I actually type something in here. So I'm gonna change that so it's not disabled and with when the input is nothing, because I just want to be able to generate a workout without having to actually type anything there. So yep. So now the send chat is disabled, but then the workout generator is not. Okay, so that is good. And then when this is clicked, what I want to do is call a custom function that I'm going to have in the actions here. So um, I'm going to actually copy this function for now because I want to have that other one as a good reference point. Because like, yeah, I'm still getting used to the Vercel AI SDK workout, and the inputs are going to be nothing for now because I'm going to have it hard coded. So I know it's a little bit silly at this point, but this is good because I'd want it to be simple. Okay, so what am I going to do here? I'm going to hard code the values. So I'm going to go to I'm literally going to just copy what I have hard coded in my Python client here, just to keep it really, really simple. And because this is basic variable declarations, I literally don't even have to change anything in this to make it work. So I'll just paste it in. I guess besides I have to declare them as constants. So let me do that. Fix up the indentation and then const. Okay. Okay. And so I'll say like generating workout for day, and then I can say day. So like this is going to be that first little, as it's loading, it's going to show this. And then I guess what do I need here? I might delete this for now. Because I don't really need to update this until the graph is done. I guess this is where I'd actually run my graph though. So I'm gonna make a note here. Uh, call the remote runnable here. And then the system message, this doesn't really matter. I don't know, because there's not going to be a system message. It's just going to be the workout component. But I guess at this point it's fine, because I'll just say workout generator. Just kind of have this as a placeholder. It's going to be a little messy at first, but I just need this to work, and then I can really start to make this good and make it what I actually want to have instead of just getting the thing working to start. So yeah, AI state dot done. So yeah, this happens once the, I guess, when is this called? How do I know this is called after the graph is done executing? That's my next question. Um, well, I guess, yeah, because I just await the output of the stream here. So that makes sense. Okay, so like at this point, I know that like the workout is generated, and then I update the AI state by changing the messages by just adding one new message. And um, I'll just say workout generated for day. And then at this point, or at some point, this is going to be replaced by the actual component. Um, because it's not just going to be a message, like it'll be a component. Kind of like what we have down here, where like it'll actually create a component based on the response, like with the text that it returns as one of the props for the component. So I display something nice looking, kind of like what we had here in the example. Where was I? Yeah, like something like this or like this, where it's more than just the text. So at some point I'll do that. But right now I just want to start with the text because I want to prove that I can actually call the graph. That is the most important thing. Okay, and so generate workout, I'm going to give as one of the functions in the AI state. So or one of the AI actions. So generate workout. In fact, I'm not gonna even have the other one here. I don't need that. So generate workout. So in the prompt form, then I'm gonna grab generate workout from the use actions hook. So that is nice that I have that immediately. And then instead of type submit, I don't want this to actually submit the form that sends the user input. I want to say on click equals and then generate workout. All right. And then I guess because at some point I'm going to have input, so I'm going to just make this an empty function call here. Okay. So when I click this, it'll actually call generate workout now, which is super neat. One thing I can even do before I actually call langgraph is I can just like do a little console log to show that I am running this function. So let me do that. I'm just going to do console.log um, executing generate workout. I want to make sure that this is actually working, which I mean, I don't really doubt it is, but it'll just be good. Okay, so I got my server running in the back to print. So it's a server component, a server action component. And so it's not going to log to my front end. It's actually going to log to my terminal where I'm running the website locally. At least I'm like 99% sure of that. Server actions are pretty new to Next.js. I think it's actually new to Next.js 13, which they're already on 15 now, but they did like 14 and 15 like that. So even Next.js 13 is pretty new right now. So so I'm going to reload this just in case I have to. For some reason, it seemed like my hot reloading wasn't working, so I'm just doing that to be sure. Okay, so I'm going to click generate workout. Nothing happened here, but like I expected, it printed executing generate workout in my console here. So that is perfect. And that's part of the beauty of the AI Vercel SDK is it is that easy to have this custom function that I can have as a part of this AI component that I wrap across my entire page so that then within my use actions hook, I can just quickly pull that in to any component that I want. As long as it's within something that is wrapped in an AI. Like in this case, prompt form is a part of the chat list, which is a part of the chat, which is a part of, um, which is actually set here and then wrapped within AI. So you can see there's a lot of layers there, and it took a bit for me to really unpack this application, this template that I'm using, but I got the hang of it now, so I can explain that, which is pretty dope. So yeah, it's generating the workout, which is good. So I'm going to delete this for now because I know it's working. And now what I'm going to do is within this run async without blocking, I am going to call the runnable. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go back to my LangGraph documentation, and I'm going to just quickly copy this right here, which is my the little example they had for TypeScript. So I'm going to copy this, paste it in here, and then at the top, I need to actually import this. The thing is, I don't have this installed yet, so I'll have to do an install. So when and then I'm going to, I think it's just at langchain core. So npm install dash s for save, and then langchain core. Because you can see right now that obviously it's highlighted in red. I don't have that yet. Because yeah, Langchain Core is not a part of this Vercel template, and I haven't installed anything manually at this point yet. So we'll get this installed, and then that red squiggly on line 13 should go away, and I'll be able to use a remote runnable. And that's the only thing that I need. Um, out of like, there's no other third-party packages I'll need. So all right, let me run the site again. You can see that the squiggly went away. So I have the remote runnable now to call my LangServe endpoint. I still think it's so cool with LangServe, like being able to have the power of a whole AI app just within an API endpoint. So yeah, I got that down here now. And the chain, this is not a really I guess it is a chain. I'll call it runnable though, because the Lang graph is way more than just a chain. Like that, a chain is a basic Lang chain concept, which is usually just like a prompt tied to some model tied to some output parser. But what I've got going on is a lot more complex than that, so it does not do it justice to call it a chain. And then I'm going to go back to my client code here, the Python client, just so that I remember the endpoint here. I want to make sure that's exact. Yep, so that is good. And then I'll go back to my code, paste that in. All right, and so now I get the results from invoking with the input, and the input is going to have to change, obviously. And then on top of that, I'm going to also need to change the configuration with some of the things that I did in the Python client as well. So first of all, I need a thread ID. And this thread ID, I have to think about how I actually want to set that up. I think what I'm going to do long term with this is the thread ID is going to be a combination of the user ID in the database and then the ID of the client that they're generating the workout for, because that's always guaranteed to be unique. And so that way, a single user can actually have multiple threads going at the same time if they're generating workouts for multiple clients at once. And I think I want to make that possible because like you might as well make that if it's convenient for somebody to maybe like go between two clients, because while the workout is generating for one client, they can go and generate the workouts for another client and then go back and forth. Just I think it's nice to have that kind of robustness to my application. So I want to be able to have multiple threads for every single client, for every single personal trainer, I mean, for the different clients. So I'll have to think about how to do that. But I think in the meantime, um, I'll just do something more basic, or maybe I'll just have it the thread ID just be based on the user ID or something like that. I'll have to think about that. First, let me just copy these inputs and configs in. Yeah, there's so many little nuances that I have to think of like that. Like this front end is going to be a lot of work because not only do I have to have this whole chat working to generate workouts and provide feedback and all that, but I also need to have to create a system where on the left hand side here, if I go back to my application, I need to be able to like add new clients and like set their information. There's a lot of things to do here, like being able to select one and then have it generate a workout there, and then like toggle between clients and have it like shift to the different workouts that it's generating. Like there's a lot that's going to go into this. But yeah, I was just starting basic. So all right, let me go in here and paste in the inputs and the config. So I'll say const inputs is equal to, and then all this is going to be exactly the same, except I'll need that thread ID in a second here. But that's fine. And then the configuration, I'll just make that another constant as well. And that is going to be, yeah, I literally just have the thread ID now. So I'm going to give it the inputs is equal to inputs, and then config is equal to config. I'm just going to call that out explicitly. Um, Oh, wait, never mind. I'm not going to call it out explicitly. There's no reason to. I can just call it like this, inputs and config. And I can hover over the invoke method just to make sure that's actually what it takes. Um, okay, so the input, yep, and then let me go back to it there. And then the options, I believe, is my config. I think that is good because that's the same that I use. it in the exact same way in my Python client. Yeah, so that should be good. Okay. Oh, and then the other thing that's kind of a duh is I need to make sure that this is a stream, not invoke. So runnable dot stream. Okay. Because if I just invoke, then I'm not going to be able to have that interrupt, where before it gets to the revision of the workout, it interrupts so that the user can provide feedback on the workout before it revises, and then it would just like spit out that new card with the revisions for them to then select alternatives and then go on to the second day. So okay, that is good. The only thing I need to do now is I need to get that user ID somehow. I don't know if I can do that here. That's where I'm kind of wondering if like I mean that could be trying to see where do I even get that? What is nanoid? Or no, actually that's I could well I could use that to get a unique ID as well, but I need something that I can like use forever within a session. So that's not necessarily good enough. Okay, because what I'm thinking is if I can get the user ID even in the front end, I can just pass that as one of the parameters to generate workout. So I have to think about, or I have to just see how I can get that. Maybe one of my components here has the user ID. Okay, well, there's also chat ID. Yeah, wait a second. Every single chat has an ID. I could just use that for now. So let me see how I can get that. In the prompt form, is there a way to get the chat ID? Or do I already have the chat ID? I do not. But what, okay, so prompt form is within the chat panel. And the chat panel, does this have the chat ID? This also doesn't have the chat ID, but the chat panel is within, oh wait, it does have the ID as just ID. Is that a prop? Let me go back here. ID. Where is this used? Um, okay. Yeah, yeah, okay, so this is good. So what I'll do is I'll just pass in the ID here. ID is equal to ID. So this is the chat ID, which is like what you have in the URL at the top here. So I'm just going to use that for now as the thread ID. And that actually might be good enough. And then at some point, I might change it so that the ID of the chat is not randomly generated. It'll actually be based on like some ID of the client for that personal trainer in the database. But this will definitely do for now. So adding a new prop of ID, and then the ID itself is going to be of type. Let me actually see. What type is this? It is a string or undefined. Um, okay. I don't want that to be undefined. That's kind of disconcerting there. So I'm gonna get an error here saying that string or undefined is not assignable to type string. So I'm just going to obviously correct this TypeScript error and then hope that when I'm actually generating a workout, it would never be undefined. I'll verify that later, but this should be good for now. So yep, so generate workout and then pass in the ID. And so now within the actions here, I'll add a first parameter to generate workout, which is going to be chat, or I can even call it thread ID, because that way what I have here is going to be, um, yeah, like the name is going to be exactly what I already have here. So then I don't have to declare some other variable. So that is good. The other thing I want to do, just in case that the thread ID is undefined for whatever reason, I guess I'll just use that nanoid library to generate something unique. I shouldn't have to do that, but I'll just do it. I'll just do it. So thread ID or nanoid like that. Um, well, okay. Actually, let me change the name of this parameter to chat ID, and then I'll say that the um const thread ID. And then actually, so in Python, you typically name variables with underscores and then everything lowercase, but with you use camel case in JavaScript. So I'm going to actually change that here. So yeah, let me change that here as well. It's kind of it's tough sometimes to switch between JavaScript and Python because the conventions are different for the good names of functions and variables and stuff. But like I said in one of my earlier streams, I'm a stickler for best practices. I just think it's really helpful to try your best to adhere to best practices because it's just one of the things that makes you a good coder. And so I don't really need to change it. Actually, I probably should change it for these things as well. Yeah, I'll do that in a sec because this is the stuff I copied over from Python. So the thread ID is going to equal the chat ID, or if the chat ID is empty, if it is undefined or an empty string for whatever reason, then it's going to be nanoid. And so it'll be something that's generating unique there. So boom, boom, and hopefully it should never come to that, but it's just a little fallback. Workouts in week, workout minutes, extra criteria, created workouts, client info, and then I'll just fix up these variables here so that everything matches. Extra criteria, client info, and then the thread ID is good. All right, so we are good there. And then the result is going to be awaiting the stream. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just console log the result because that's the main thing is I just need to make sure that I get something from running this. And we'll see if we are good. Okay, I think we are. So yeah, I click this button and then it generates a workout. Goes here, boom, immediately calls my runnable. Which is nice and simple. I like this. If this works, I will definitely be further than I was hoping to get within, yeah, not even, wait, what am I at now for this stream? I've been streaming for 36 minutes. Okay, actually, that's longer than I thought I was. I'm getting sucked into this because I'm passionate about this. I'm going to win this competition, even though I have to get through the grind of figuring out a lot of this stuff with the front end that I haven't dealt with before. I am a back end expert. Or I shouldn't, I don't want to bloat and say gloat and say expert. A back end is just where I have, where I spend most of my time, most of my learning and what I feel like I'm better at overall. And so there's a lot of whole new paradigms here that I'm getting used to in the front end. The back end was a lot smoother to develop, but that's okay because I'm figuring it out. And this is going to be super important. We're going to be spending most of my next couple of days here, but that is all good because this is going to end up being something beautiful. So, all right, at this point, I think I am ready to test it. Again, the results of running this stream with my LangServe runnable is going to be printed out to my terminal here um, because it is a server action, Next.js server action component. So it'll be printed out here, and then also within my LangServe that I have hosted here locally on port 8000, I'm going to get a request logged here as well. So I should see both of these things pop up as I click that button. And actually, I want to make this look cool. So let me go back to my site here and then I'll make it small because all I need to do is click that tiny little button there. Look at that. I can just click this and then I'll be able to see both of these things should have something logged to it like immediately. It might be an error because who knows if I'm doing something wrong here. But something should be logged to both, or at least this one. If there's an error and it doesn't reach LangServe endpoint, I need to just shut up and click this damn button. Okay, click the button. It's compiling. Of course it has to compile it now because I restarted. Come on. It's taking forever to compile. It just wants to kill me here. Okay, it's compiled. And then boom. Okay. Nice. It made its first request. And it's working. I actually don't know what's going to print out on the left side here. I might need to do something different so that, yeah, okay. So it doesn't, which is fine because I didn't really expect it to be perfect. But the most important thing is that I called my runnable from my front end, which is super cool. So that is good progress. Like that is the goal that I had for tonight was just to get this to work. Because now I can do something in the UI that actually gets all of the power of my AI application kicked off in the back end, which is super cool. But yeah, I just need to figure out the streamable UI. I wonder if there's a way to set the timeout here because that's not acceptable. Like obviously I need to be able to wait for a good amount of time. It gave me like 5 seconds, and it's not going to generate a workout that fast. So yeah, I need to fix that. So I'm gonna interrupt this and start it up again because at that point it was waiting for a new input that I was never gonna get because I don't have it fully set up on the front end here. So yeah, let me see. Um, where did I get this function from? It is a oh, okay. So this is I thought this was actually an AI SDK function, but it's not. It is something custom created in the utils file. So let me go to this here because I'm assuming that there is a timeout here. Wait, is that really it? That's tiny. Wait a second. Where is it actually giving me? Because I thought there was going to be a lot more of that function. The streamable UI has been slow to update. This may be a bug or a performance issue, or you forgot to call dot done. Okay, well, no, it's not a performance issue. I just expect it to take a while because it's doing a lot of work. This isn't a freaking single prompt to an AI. This is a whole graph running in the back end. I got all this power. It can't be immediate. I wish it could. That would be super sick. But it is definitely not. So maybe I define configs. It must be here. Yeah, okay, because like I called done here after I finished getting the result. So it makes sense that like that's taking time and like that's why it's saying like you hey maybe you forgot to call not done. I didn't forget, but this is just taking too long. So in create streamable UI, is there really not a place to okay, it doesn't seem like there's a place to actually give config, which is kind of surprising. I thought there'd definitely be a place for sell AI SDK. I'm just going to the documentation. It's classic. Um, there's really not a place to update this or to set the state like how long it should go for. Huh. Well, I guess maybe this isn't actually an error. Because the thing is, it's just like letting you know, like, hey, it's taking a while. It has been slow to update. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's actually a problem. Like if it prints this out to the server every time, like so what? It's not even on the front end. It's just in the back end. Um, I guess that's fine. The next thing that I need to do is like actually get the results because the results of running this stream was not the same as it was on my Python client. It was just like this thing right here. Like what the hell? Result dot get reader. Okay, yeah. So there's a lot more to this. Well, let me go back to the documentation for Langserve. Actually, that's not helpful. Surprisingly, it just has the result. Like it doesn't show more of the example of like how do you actually like do something with the result. So that's kind of disappointing. Um, yeah, because I'd hope that it'd be something helpful like this, where it would like show you like after you actually get the output of the result, how do you like do something with it? So let's see here. Result. I just gotta look at the functions here. Like, okay, it is of type iterable readable stream. So can I click on this? Or I guess I'll just go to the documentation for it. Lang serve. Um, let's see. Okay, so it has a reader. What is next? Because I think this might be the method I actually want. Iterator result. Let's look at the code for it. Um, okay, so it returns a value. I think this is what I actually want. Or maybe there's a better way where I could do um, reader. What does read return? Okay, so it's a function. Okay. Interesting. Can I await this? I think I can. Const val is equal to await result.reader.read. So now val is of type readable stream default read result. Okay, what is val then? Um, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so all right, dot done. Or no, not dot done. Because actually, that'll be useful in the future because I can use dot done to figure out if it's done fetching the result. But at this point, I just want to log the value. We'll see if this works. I'm just gonna give it a go. So I have my lang serve running again, and then my UI is good to go, or my server action is good to go. So let me just go back to my localhost here and click this button again. Okay, so I got an error. Cannot read property of undefined read. Okay, so I guess the result reader is not defined yet, which is too bad. Do it. Why is this undefined? Because if I can do result dot reader, or oh, it should be get reader. Is that? Let me try that. I'll give that a shot here. And then the get read should still be valid then. Let me just make sure if I'll do dot. Yeah, okay. So that should be good. So I'll try this now. I got my lang serve restarted. I have to close it each time because it's not going to end the workout generation. So let me click the button again. And yeah, it printed the result of the generating the first workout. Or not the first workout, but the first node. So that's good. The problem is it's not printing the next ones after that. So this is exactly what I expected for the result of the first node. So I'm going to close my lang serve again, and then let me go back to just so that I can explain this to everyone and myself. I'm going to go back to the graph here that I have. Okay, so the way that it works is when I start the stream of my lang serve endpoint, it starts here, and then it goes to my entry point, and then the first result from the streaming of my LangServe endpoint is everything that my entry point updated. So if I go up to my entry point here, the JSON for the entry point is it spits out the created workouts. Like that's what it updates. So that's what it prints to the stream. And then after the entry point, it goes to create the first workout. But I don't have my code set up where it actually goes through all of the things that are streamed in that single execution of my LangServe endpoint. It just prints out the first thing. So like what I have in my Python client here, I actually loop through the output of the stream. And I think that I need to do that again, or something similar like that in my code here. I don't know exactly how to do that, but that is what I want to figure out. Because at this point, because yeah, it prints out an iterable, readable stream. I guess can I loop over that? Because in my Python code, my Python client, I loop over the output. I don't know if I can do that. Um, but I'm just gonna try it. So I'm gonna say for let result of I have no idea if this is gonna work. Yeah, this look it's not an array type or a string type. Yeah, I didn't think you would be, but I'm trying to think of how I'd actually convert that from my Python code to my JavaScript code here. Um, it might be I might actually have to use the next function because what does this return? It returns an iterator result. Um, man, yeah. How do I do this? I wish there was. I might be missing some documentation here. I think what I should do instead of just trying to fiddle with this for ages, I should just go look at the LangServe documentation for langchain.js. That should be helpful. Um, so I'll do langchain.js, langserve. Just Google that. This should be simple. Let's see here. So this is how to do it with Python. And then, okay. All right, all right, all right. Here we go. Here we go. Um, is this langserve? Or I mean langgraph though. That might be my um oh, this is fine. This is fine. Okay, so I have to use stream events instead of stream. I believe. I think this makes sense. And then what do I do then? Like all of this is just input to it. Mine is a lot simpler. Like this here's the input and then my config is just the configurable in the JSON. And then I would just for await const chunk of log stream. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Stream logs lower level method. JSON patch chunks. That's interesting because I think that might mean I actually might be able to take my object and stream it in chunks, so that I could have some sort of like streaming UI. I don't want to get too fancy with that yet. I should just focus on. Oh wow, that is what that is. That is really cool. Really? I don't even know how this is possible, but apparently with LangChain, it's able to like have the start of an object, like maybe just like the warm up portion of my workout JSON, and then it would stream that out, and then it would stream the balance portion of my workout, and then the strength portion, and then the cool down, and so I could actually like display just the warm up at first at when that part of the JSON is loaded. Okay, I'm gonna bookmark, or it already is bookmark. What do you know? I already have a bookmark. I definitely want to look at that later because that could be something really powerful that make the UI just pop even more. That is really neat. Okay. I'm gonna table that for later though, because I'm getting way ahead of myself. The first thing I need to do is I just need to call this or have this for loop in my code to print the outputs, the more than one output. So yeah, so I got that. And then I can also delete this stuff. That's the old way of doing things. Hopefully this works. So the log stream is equal to remote chain dot stream events. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so that is good, but it's not happy with my config anymore. Why are you not happy with my config? Seems like it should be. This is set up the exact same way. Stream events takes an input and it takes options. Okay. Well, you should be happy then. Let's look at this massive error here. Okay, so it looks like my config needs a version for some reason. I don't really know what the okay. Okay, well, it kind of makes sense. I still don't really know like what the version 1 or 2 would indicate, but it's a requirement because it's a beta API. Okay, well, we're going into new territory here with beta APIs, but that is fine because a lot of what I'm doing is new territory anyway. Oh, I don't need to do that. All right, version v1. And then, yeah, I guess I don't need these as quotes because in Python you need to have the dictionary keys in quotes, but in JavaScript the keys do not need to be in quotes. So I can make this look like this. This doesn't look like JavaScript code, honestly. So I should change that quick. I'm also procrastinating the final test here, see if I can get this to work. Um, because I want my code to be perfect. So then I delay actually running things. But that's fine because this is going to be good to change anyway. I don't want my when I submit this stuff to Nvidia, even though some of this is placeholders I might get rid of, I want everything to look perfect. So I don't want to look like I'm just copying over Python code into my JavaScript. So this is much better looking now. Okay. So I gave a version now. It still is not happy. Why is it not happy? Um, property encoding is missing in type. Encoding. It's not helpful because it's not even here in the example. Um, wait, say this again. Um, what is this? Type a property version or type string is unassignable to type v1 or v2. Did I do something wrong? Because what if I literally copy this in? Like, is it gonna be happy? Weird. Okay. I'm trying to see if I can just get it to shut up. Okay, so that produced the problem. Okay. Configurable. What if I remove conversion? Oh wait. What am I doing wrong? This is weird. It's like such a tiny thing. And I'm trying to get, man, okay. Well, let me try this. I'm gonna add those things back in and comment this out for now. And then I'm going to make a new config and set this to exactly what they have here. That still's not happy. So clearly there's something wrong in their documentation. If I can't even put in the example they have. 'Cause what's the problem here? Okay. Um, okay, because it's missing the encoding. Apparently the encoding is required. So why? Because it says like for version you can do V1 or V2, but for encoding it's like literally just one option, and apparently that's required. So if I, it's still erroring. Come on now, what is your problem? Um, way this is busted. Because I want to use stream events. Why is this being a stickler? This might actually be broken. That would be so disappointing. Um, wow. Because yeah, I'm using the exact same metadata at this point. I mean, the only thing I'm not including, um, I guess there's like a third object here that they just have as an empty object. But that's not going to help. Um, I'm a little stuck. I think I'm going to go to GPT here. It might be able to help. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this up. I'm going to make it the call that I actually want to make it. So I'm going to add encoding in, and then I have my version. That's all good. Okay, so now I can copy this error. This is where GPT helps. So it's a little bit of, I guess I'm hopefully providing just a good example of how you can use GPT to debug a problem. Getting this TypeScript error with the following code. And it's stupid because this whole thing is just TypeScript. Like I'm pretty sure this code is good. And so maybe I might just like make it any, where it doesn't actually give a problem. Um, like the TypeScript error would go away. So I might just kind of hack that. We'll see. Let's see what it says. It's it wants me to just remove the configurable property. I definitely need that though. So that is not helpful. Yeah, sometimes GPT can't actually help in the way that you would hope. Because yeah, like if I remove this here, it's still gonna freak out at me. You can see that it's still not happy with config, which is really stupid. Come here. I want to see because it says type string is not assignable to type v1 or v2. Like, what is your problem? Wait a second. No, that's not, what? Quick fix. Remove unnecessary await. That did not help. Excuse me. What am I doing wrong? Because I feel like there's no way the documentation is just busted. Um, so I mean, I can try to copy this entire thing. Let me just see if this works. I'm gonna, boom, that worked. Or well, I guess no, I need to replace runnable. That actually worked. Okay, fine. We'll play it your way. I'm gonna, man. Okay, so I'm going to paste the code in here. Really, it wants to be hard with me here. Well, fine. Okay. So paste it in. Log stream is equal to runnable.stream events, and then I'm going to give it my input here instead. Um, yeah, inputs. Okay, fine. All right. And then for configurable, we got the thread ID and the recursion limit, and it's still happy. What happens if I delete metadata? That's fine. What happens if I delete this? It is still fine. Wow. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. But apparently it's working now. I literally don't know what's different. I was probably missing something so freaking obvious, and that happens a lot in coding. So I can't necessarily be upset, but it's working. Okay. All right. So now it's going to be logging out the chunks, which I think each chunk is going to be the result of each node and what that outputs. So I'm going to give that a shot here and just see. So, yeah. All right. So I got my LangServe endpoint on one end, and I got the UI on the other. Or I keep saying the UI. I have the server component of my UI, and then now I actually have my UI where I'll click the magic button and then watch it go. Okay. Whoa. That is a lot of data. Okay. So the chain started. Um, cool. Chain ended. Outputs. Okay. Chain started. Chain started. This is way different than the Python endpoint. Um, on-chain stream. Okay. Okay, so now it started the workout generator, and then it made a workout, and then I want to see it switch to day two. Is it going to switch to day two? Actually, no, it wouldn't, because it's going to cut before the revision. Yeah, because now it's waiting. It's waiting for me to give new input. Um, wow. This is a lot. This is just a lot of stuff. Holy cow. There is so much to parse here. But I have it now. Like there, this is insane. The amount of output because it's like telling me when the chain starts and when it ends. But this is actually good because I can use this to constantly feed back to the UI saying like something is happening, something is happening. You're not just waiting for the void. Like okay, so this is good. but this is so much different than the Python UI. But like I can see here that in the data, it is outputting what I would expect because when I generate a workout, let me go back to my graph code here. When I go to my runnable, the workout generator, it updates the day, the current workout, and the list of created workouts. And when I go to my output here, it's the day, the current workout, and the created workouts. So that is what I want to grab from because I want to grab the workout that it just generated and then spit that back out as a React component for the user to update and then give back in to continue with the revision and then the next day and then going from there. So this is good. This is exactly what I need. This is just crazy though because the amount of different events that it's spitting out to me. Because I have to figure out which one to actually grab. Um, maybe I wonder what the chain end like what these outputs are. It's unfortunate because like it just says this is an object, but I don't know what that object actually contains because it's only spitting out the first level JSON or I guess the second level. Because you have like the top level, which is the event, and then within it you have the output and the JSON for that. But then this is an object instead of breaking it down even further. So there's only so many levels it goes before it just says like this object is an object instead of actually giving all the keys and values for it. Um, okay, so I mean that's good to know, but I just wish I knew what this output actually was. Because what I might need to do um, is when the chain ends. So when I get the event that is a chain end, I need to get the output that is the current workout or created workouts. Or I guess just current workout. Okay, so let me do that. I think that'll be the last thing, and then I'll wrap up the stream here. So let me go back to my code here. So for chunk, so each chunk is going to be one of those events here. So I'm going to say if chunk dot. Ooh, nice. It even has the IntelliSense for this. I thought this was just going to be like a generic object, but I guess it makes sense because I'm looping through the log stream. This is really nice. So if the chunk.event is equal to, and then I'm just going to copy this on chain end, and I want to make sure that it actually has the workout in the data. So or in the output, chunk.output. Does that not exist? Hold on, let me go. Um, Okay. Oh, yeah. So data is within the data object we have the input and the output. So chunk dot data dot output, um, and then dot. So at this point now it's a generic object. So now I have no IntelliSense because that is entirely based on what my graph outputs. And so I want to say if it has current workout. Okay. So at this point I will only be in this if statement if I have received an on-chain end event where the current workout is defined. And in that case, I would just want to log out the current workout. And so I'm going to, yeah, I'm just going to spit it out. Oh, and then I'm not going to print, I'll just comment this for now. I don't need to print out every single event. I just want to print out the workout when it's done. So let me do that. So I'm going to cut the back end again because it's waiting for the feedback to revise, but it's never going to receive that right now. So I'm just going to stop it, start it again, and then for this bad boy here, I can just leave it. I was thinking about like starting it or stopping it, clearing the terminal, restarting, but I don't want to wait for it to compile the chat component again. So I'm just going to leave that. Okay, um, let's run it. This will be cool because I want it to print out a workout in the front end. I mean, I know this is the server component, so it's not technically a front end, but whatever I get here, I can just return to the state and then have that display it anywhere that I want, just like it had with the confirm purchase that I showed earlier here in the example, where let me go back to it, where like whatever it produced in the confirm purchase server component that went to the front end here. So yeah, all right, let me do that. So I'm going to click generate workout, boom, click this. All right, and then go, oh, let me open these up quick. There we go. All right, so now nothing is being printed yet because I'm not just printing every event anymore. I commented that out. Instead, I'm gonna only print once I actually hit the chain end with the current workout, and so I actually have to wait for this to generate. And so yeah, this is fine. It's just saying it's slow, but I expect it to be. It's not a problem. And it actually, oh, here we go. Let's go. Yep, so now it's going to wait for the revision, and we're not going to get there. So this is my final output for the first day. This is what I would use as the JSON to produce that React component with the workout. So let me look at this. So for the warm up, looks good, looks good, looks good. Got the balance portion. I like it. Strength portion, a goblet squat, push press, lat pull down, overhead press, and then um, this might I think this means bent over row. Is this actually a thing? Sometimes AI surprises me, or like I think it messes up, but it's actually because it knows something I don't. So this might I've never heard of a bent tire row. Okay, it's not a thing. All right, so it did mess up here. I've never seen it do this before, but I'm not really worried. Like I know this is not an issue with my front end because this is just it's telling me exactly what Langserve outputted. And that's fine because there's a reason that I have alternatives and the opportunity for users to suggest feedback. It's because AI is never perfect. Like it's literally always going to make mistakes no matter how good your prompting is. Unless your temperature is set to zero, that little bit of randomness that you allow the AI model to have is going to make it so that even though it might only be 1% of the time, sometimes it's just going to be like off the wall. Like, what are you doing? Like it did right here with bent tire row. But that's fine. I, I've had a lot of experience with AI doing really, really well for days and then like messing up in one drastic way for one prompt. It just happens. But anyway, this looks sick. Yeah, so warm up's good, strength portion's good, the cooldown looks good. That is amazing. So at this point, I've successfully integrated my front end with Vercel AI SDK with LangServe. All the power of the AI now available to me in the front end, so I can take this JSON and actually generate. The next stream, I'm going to generate a React component like this, but it's going to display the workout in a card, kind of like the UI that we have here. Let me go back to the example. So it's going to be like some nice looking card here, where instead of showing the stock and the graph and all that, it's going to show the workout. And there's going to be like a drop down for every workout where you can select the alternatives. And then the user is going to be able to type in freeform text here, submit those two things, and then it will revise the workout based on that and then go to the next day. So that's going to what I'm going to be working on in the next stream. But I've made a lot of progress. It's really cool that I actually have this working now where I officially have the JSON for the workout in my front end so I can make that component because making the front end component is going to be easy now that I have the data. Like this is the data right here looking all pretty. That is beautiful. So that is what I'm going to be working on in the next stream. So I'm going to sign off for now. Made a lot of progress here. Going to get some rest because I'm exhausted from a long day and yeah, join me for the next day where I'll be continuing this front end and actually using this cool data that I got from my AI. So yeah, catch you in the next one.